Hey everybody, welcome back. This is a little bit of a different type video. I just realized something. Yesterday evening, I filmed the video. If I were honest with myself, I would get rid of these decks. And one of these decks that I'm going to get rid of is actually supposed to be a gift to Manuela from Place of Stillness, who is actually coming to visit me tomorrow at time of filming. Yesterday evening I decided to keep it as a surprise, except that I figured I can still film and bring you along this little idea of mine of what deck and everything I'm going to gift her, because I can just film it and then upload it obviously after her visit so that I don't ruin the surprise on my channel. I don't ruin the surprise for her on my channel. So this is just a little bit of a preparation for her visit tomorrow. Right, so the deck I decided to gift her in hopes that she doesn't already own it is the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, because it's in great condition and I know that Manuela is very much into astrology, and I don't actually believe she has this deck, so I hope she will accept this as a gift. I already did this for the cards because I think there must have been some plastic inlay, but I threw it out. But I kept the box, thankfully, because it does protect the cards. Maybe I should put them in order. Yeah, I think I'll do that real quick. I'm going to add in a stamp, a little card, art paper card with a stamp on it that I made. If you're a patron of mine, you have seen me create this very stamp. This is about actually a dream I've had. It's actually more happy than what this card looks like, but I decided to add that in for her. Then the other day I went thrifting because I love to go thrifting, and I found, to me, an amazing book that I wish I could read, but I cannot because it's in German. Now, I'm pretty sure Manuela speaks German because she speaks a lot of languages. In my opinion, it's really a good gift. And if I could read it, I would be really happy with it. It's actually a first edition of the Heindel Tarot guidebook written by Rachel Pollack. So obviously it's translated, but it's an old one. Look at this. Pretty nice. 1988 copyright, and it is a first edition. I don't have the Heindel Tarot. I don't believe Manuela owns that deck either, but it's a Thoth-based deck, right? So I am so curious to see what this book says about the deck, because I'm not exactly into the artwork of the Heindel Tarot, but I know it's a very deep deck that stood the test of time. It's still in print after all these years, so I'm pretty sure it's a good deck. It's a classic. And even though I'll probably never own it, this book definitely, yeah, I think for tarot lover, this is a good gift alongside the Oracle of the Radiant Sun for someone who's so much into astrology. I'm pretty sure that will be something nice. So I'm going to wrap these gifts, and that'll be it for today. And even though this book is thrifted, I think thrifted items are still good gifts, because, I mean, they can be vintage, and this one is. When I saw it, I thought of Manuela. Let's pick it up for her. Hope she likes it, and that she's actually able to bring it back with her. Well, these are it for now. I think I'm just gonna write a little note on here. Come to think of it, I could have put the stamp card on top of here, but I mean, it'll just have to do because it's packed up right now. It's wrapped up. Yeah, obviously we're gonna walk around town. I believe if the weather forecast still is reliable, tomorrow will be actually a pretty good day. Nicer weather than we've been having, because obviously we had storm a few days and then lots of rain and wind and cold-ish. Maybe tomorrow will be a little bit more brighter and lighter. I know some places that are really nice for people who are into tarot and books and stuff like that, but obviously we're also just gonna probably stroll around, and I'm so glad I'm not working tomorrow, because otherwise it would have been such a bummer. I'm so glad we were able to schedule this and make this happen. But I have something to show you that came in the mail. It's something from Book Depository, and I was surprised because I didn't order anything. Except that I did. I pre-ordered something. I pre-ordered a book. So, why don't we open this together? Art Magic by Molly Roberts. Molly Roberts is an OG tarot witch, art witch lady on YouTube and on Patreon. I like her approach to magic, how to become an art witch and unlock your creative power. So this is beautiful. It's so exciting when people that we've watched for so many years come out with a book. Wow, this reminds me of, because of this like magazine paper, it reminds me of one of, or a few of my first magic books. But this is obviously all her artwork and pictures of her magical workings. How art and magic work together. Art and magic are the gleaming twins born at the dawn of imagination. The links between magic and art can be seen everywhere, from shadowy murals in sacred caves to the meticulous notebooks of Renaissance mages. From roadside folk art assemblages to sculptures in art museums all over the world. The instinctual gems of art and magic are alive in our DNA, and their sparks crackle in our marrow to this day. Art and magic speak to our innate nature as makers and active participants in a living universe. Ooh, okay. Good that it's so big and cosmic and fantastic and in depth. There are actually tutorials in here. That's so nice. Beautiful photos of what she's made. Ah, I love these puppets that she makes. You can just see the very personal magic. Personal guardian. Plushie. It's a plushie. Cut paper amulets. See, I love these ideas. Sometimes as a as a person myself who likes to work with their hands, I carve stamps. Sometimes I'm not saying I'm good at any of these things. It's just that I enjoy doing them. I carve stamps. I make some things out of clay. I draw sometimes. I make collages. What else do I do? Oh yeah, I sew. I paint. I make videos that on Patreon on the last tier, the after party, or one of the last tiers. Those are collages that I love to make, and it's not every month, but I often make them, and it's a collage between my voice, so words or a poem, and then visual footage that's very psychedelic. Then often there's also a dance involved, sound or music, and there's a lot of distortion. It's really just a personal style, but that I also consider a type of magic, or a type of art magic, you could say, because after all, it's a video collage. But all of these little things I like to do. I also drew my own Marseille pips. I actually finished them. I'm actually in the process of coloring them, and that's gonna take a long time, but I keep myself busy with my hands. So, as a person who does that, it's refreshing to hear from someone who's been doing it for a much longer time and who actually is a professional artist who sells their work, that it's not all about the intent. Because I know I still sometimes say this myself. It's all about the intent that you put into something, and yes, it counts, but who is to say that your absent mindedness while sculpting a little figurine isn't magic in itself? If the item, the thing itself, the product at the end of your working is something that you consider to be magical and to aid you in your magical working, then that can be a magical thing as well. It's not like, ah, snap, I missed my chance because I didn't put the intent into it. Sometimes the hands know what is necessary. Sometimes the absent mindedness is actually what makes this thing happen. It happens all the time. I mess around while editing, and then something happens that actually makes the liquid light show, the surrealist spell is what I call those things, the collage, video collages that I have in the after party tier. Sometimes something happens that I didn't plan that actually makes the whole thing so much better. So yes, with intent, but we should also appreciate and embrace the thing itself, the end result, and the absent mindedness. I feel like that's very chaos magic, right? Because the subconscious knows more on how things work and react to one another and relate to one another than our conscious mind does. So I always liked that message that Molly Roberts brought in there, because magic can truly be anything, and it's not just about putting intent into something. Sometimes it's not about intention, sometimes it's about effort, that we just did it or that we just tried. So none of my stuff is as visually pleasing as hers. And I mean, we have very different styles. She likes a lot of colors and all of that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I appreciate her work. And so now I have her book. Really cool. All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'm gonna continue cleaning up my house because I have company coming, and I had a lot of junk, especially in the kitchen. I actually repainted my kitchen because I have a crappy little kitchen. And I thought repainting a wall would make the crappy little kitchen less crappy. And unfortunately, that is not the case. So now I have a crappy little kitchen with a dark green wall, which I guess I like better than the wall color that I had before, except that it doesn't take away from the crappiness of my little kitchen. Okay, so it actually is a beautiful day on Wednesday. I am waiting for Manuela's call. She is arriving, I think, at Central Station, and I'll come and pick her up Amsterdam style with a on my bike and then I'll just park it somewhere and we'll go and stroll around town. Also, she told me that she's bringing her Triomphe de la Luna Patrick Valenza pack so that we can compare our decks. I think we're gonna geek out over tarot for sure. A nice sunny day in Amsterdam despite the trains not going. I mean, that's nothing new. That's just standard. In the Netherlands, it's impossible for the trains to run on time or run at all sometimes. So, yeah, bit of a bummer there, but she's gonna make it here and it's gonna be fun anyway. So that's it for now. Yeah, I'm excited. All right, it is the very next day, and again, it's very windy and rainy. So, Manuela, you really did bring the sunshine when you came to visit me yesterday. Manuela and I had a wonderful time. We talked a lot. We visited a tarot shop that I love to go to. They have so many decks, including the place that has the very old vintage and antique out of print decks. It's not like we can pick them up and flip through them or anything like that. They are behind glass, but still it's something cool when you're so much into tarot as we are. Afterwards, we walked to my place. I mean, it was beautiful weather, so why not? Luckily, I know where to find the good cake, so we enjoyed that while comparing tarot decks, because obviously in this place I have my entire collection, and Manuela brought quite a lot of decks with her, including, as I said before, the Patrick Valenza pack, which is Triomphe de la Luna, the classic one, the parchment paper look. It was fun for me to flip through that one because I don't own it. I only have the classic paradoxical. She also has the blue paradoxical and then paradoxical purple as well. And since I have a black light here, we were able to compare those three decks, I mean the classic paradoxical, blue and purple, underneath the black light, which was a lot of fun because it depends on which card you have in front of you, which one pops more. Now, I didn't film any of this because I just want to hang out with a friend, you know, but I have proof that Manuela was here and we were actually here together. Here it is. I am so happy that she loved her gifts. Yes, she is fluent in German and she can read it very well. And I was so pleasantly surprised that she, first of all, didn't own the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And she took a look through the cards and was immediately able to make sense out of them, to read them. You know, combining the astrological house with the planet, with the sign, the zodiac sign, she immediately made sense of those keywords. It was the right decision. I am so glad to see that this deck found a home with someone who at least is able to read with it. Now, I understand the whole process of culling decks, etc. I'm not saying, Manuela, now you have to keep it for life, but in my opinion, it's much better off with you than it ever was with me. So there you go. And surprise, surprise, Manuela brought a gift for me as well. The Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle, including, I believe, the extra pack, because this is the third edition, which is now currently available on Deviant Moon. It's so dinky, as Simon from the Hermit's Cave likes to say about small decks. It feels so very nice. Which, and you've all seen it, I'm sure, but it's a very special little oracle deck that I'm going to edge in, I think, something tan and brown, and then add in some of those blood spatters because it's just so perfect and it actually fits in your pocket. It's unbelievable. It's the perfect gift because I never would have gotten this for myself, yet I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of this because I'm going to play so much with this little deck. I know it. So yeah, I already actually, I had a horrible night. I didn't sleep well, but no matter, I will survive. But in the middle of the night, which is why I'm telling you this, in the middle of the night, I already had two ideas on how to use this little deck. So I will share that with you undoubtedly sometime soon. This was it for this strange video. I hope you enjoyed. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them underneath the video. I just want to thank you for being here, and I will see you all very soon. Much love.